Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a blessed morning. God is good. This morning, I just want to come talk for a very brief, short amount of time about narcissistic rages. If anybody who listens to this channel is in a relationship right now, or has been in a relationship, or has experienced, some form of narcissism, then you can definitely resonate with this video. Or maybe you have thought you experienced it, but you weren't really sure. You've been hearing certain terms, or you've been seeing certain YouTube videos, you've been following certain people on Instagram, and things are starting to come into your psyche, and you're starting to realize certain situations that you may be dealing with. It doesn't have to be with a romantic partner. It could be in the workplace. It could be any family member, any friend, anybody that you may be dealing with has certain qualities or traits that cause you to question them or feel uncomfortable around them or feel uneasy in spirit. That person may have some narcissistic qualities. Now, I've realized that ever since I started this channel, and it speaks on mental health, physical health, spirituality, and narcissism, that people tend to think that, oh, you think everyone's narcissist. Not everyone's narcissist. Very much true. Not everyone has full blown narcissism. To be diagnosed with narcissism takes a lengthy amount of time with a psychiatrist, and several sessions. And even then, from actually talking to a psychiatrist, it still may not even be said that a person can be just given that title of having narcissism. However, a lot of people have high narcissistic traits in which they have been groomed to be that way from childhood up until adulthood, either by having a narcissistic parent or being exposed to someone with narcissistic traits as a child, and therefore it conformed their subconscious and psyche to adapt to those kind of traits and qualities, and they maneuver throughout life in those ways because that's what they believe is the right way to handle situations or the right way to deal with things. So I do want to say for anybody who listens to my channel that no, not everyone is a narcissist. Um, and that to be labeled with narcissism, you have to really sit down with a psychiatrist to see if that's really a problem that you have, or if a problem that you think somebody in your life may have. But most people, including myself at times, have high narcissistic traits. I went through a couple of traits already on my YouTube channel, such as gaslighting, love bombing, monkey branching, hovering, different things that a narcissistic person does, and sometimes probably does not even realize that they're doing it. A lot of those things are just defense mechanisms that we acquire throughout life to handle and deal with certain situations that we don't know how to deal with because we were not taught as children how to properly feel our emotions and deal with our emotions and handle our emotions. Especially a lot of men were not groomed by their mothers to be able to feel their emotions, or even their fathers. So therefore, as an adult man, they don't know how to display true emotion without displaying anger or rage, because no one ever taught them how to really feel their emotions. They probably was taught not to cry when they were little, to be tough, to always be a certain way as a man. But in reality, there is not one way to be as a man or a woman, as a person. You are to be yourself that God created. And everyone has emotions, and everyone should have the right to feel their emotions and cry. Now, this is not to say wallow in situations to where you're depressed or sick or causing yourself any harm or other people around you. But you do have every well right, whether man or woman, to feel different kinds of emotions and express them healthily without being judged. So to move on, because I just want to briefly say that. To move on, this video is about narcissistic rages. Um, in a relationship with a person who has narcissistic traits, or any kind of situation dealing with a person that could possibly have narcissistic traits, you might experience in between time narcissistic rages. And you usually see narcissistic rages when you confront a person with a certain situation that makes them uncomfortable, or they don't tend to want to talk about or deal with. They'll fly into a narcissistic rage. They do this for a couple of reasons. One reason that they'll fly into a narcissistic rage is to avoid the situation because they really don't want to discuss it or talk about it any further, because it could ultimately lead them to being caught up in certain things they don't want to be caught up into, or truths being revealed that they wanted to leave swept under the rug that they didn't want you to know about. So what that kind of looks like is, per se, a situation happened or occurred and you brought it to a person's attention and they immediately responded with anger. They start yelling, cursing, just really being overbearing, being a bully, in most cases, trying to manipulate your mind, trying to make you back down from the situation with fear. So narcissistic rage is really used to put fear into the other person, to make that person back down from the situation. Most people that are in relationships with narcissistic people or involved in any kind of way with the person that has narcissistic traits is usually a person that's passive aggressive and does not like conflict. And a narcissistic person who has narcissistic traits knows that because they are conflict. They create the conflict and then play the victim. So they know that the person that they're dealing with does not really like conflict, doesn't really like to argue, doesn't like to yell, is usually calm, likes to talk about stuff in an adult like way. And so they'll fly into a rage, becoming a bully, yelling, cursing, putting fear into that person so that person will ultimately back down from the situation and just let it go. Don't allow anybody to do this to you. If something has arose in a situation with somebody, whether it be a coworker, it could be your boss, it could be your child, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a romantic partner. If a situation has arose and it makes you uncomfortable and you feel the need to speak up on it, speak up on it. Address it as healthy as you can. When the narcissistic rage flies, please just hold on to yourself. Keep yourself calm. Keep the same tone of voice, calm, easy mannered. If you're in person having this conversation, don't make it like any threat movements, not to say sound any kind of way, but us as African Americans, we like to talk, clap with our hands, and all this when we're upset. None of that is necessary when you really need to express yourself calmly and effectively. You don't need to have any real body movements, hand clapping, or anything to intimidate a person. A narcissistic person wants to intimidate. They want to cause intimidation into you so you'll back down so they can be superior over the situation and the conversation, and it will be over. You'll see a lot of when you're trying to this is another thing they do to avoid the situation. They will talk over you. They'll cut you off. They don't want to hear anything that you have to say because they don't like to be held accountable. I spoke on that in several other videos about narcissism. They don't like to be held accountable in certain situations. They only want to um, address things when they want to address it in a situation where they want to address it so they can be in control. If they feel out of control, you're going to see that narcissistic rage. You're going to see that yelling, that hollering, that overbearing over you. You might even see them get to the point where they feel like they're so upset they'll cry. It's fake. Don't buy into it. That's playing on your empathy as a person because they know you're so empathetic, and you'll flip the situation to knowing that that person is dead ass wrong. Excuse my language, but you'll flip the situation in your mind after all this yelling and cursing and crying and overbearingness and bullying that they do to you. You'll flip the situation in your mind and think that, maybe this is my fault. Maybe I am wrong. Never think that. Never change what spirit tells you. Okay, because this is a war we're in between spirit and flesh, light and darkness. And there's people among us who are in darkness. They might want to come out to the light, but they really don't know how. And so they come be around other people who are in the light and absorb that light into themselves, trying to camouflage themselves with who they are. Because those dark people probably will never change. They'll always have those traits deep down within inside of them. Now they can submerge them and cover them up for a short period of time, but it'll only take one situation or one circumstance that they don't like to bring it up out of them, and you're gonna see it. So one thing I think that a lot of people question is, will the narcissist change? No, they won't. They can camouflage themselves. They can create facades. They can pick up traits and qualities from other people to make it seem like they're changed or they've elevated and adapted to a new person, but they have not. Another thing is, don't be fooled by a narcissist who thinks they know God. Don't be fooled by a narcissist that talks to you about God. Don't be fooled by a narcissist that prays, because they will use that. It's plenty of Christian narcissists. Okay, it's plenty of pastors that are narcissists in the pulpit preaching to you about scripture and know it very well. It takes anybody just to open the Bible, just to go to church a few times, to watch a couple YouTube videos, to be able to recite scripture, to be able to know God, but you don't really know God. A lot of us, especially as Black African Americans, grew up in the Baptist Christian church, and we know of God, but a lot of us don't really know God until we go into situations where we have to learn Him for ourselves and truly get that spiritual um, connection with him. And a lot of that happens in life altering situations that occur in us that cause us to break down to our knees and we have no one to turn to but God. And in those situations, then yes, maybe a person will change. But see, what a narcissist will do is a narcissist will be beat and broke down so low, but a narcissist looks for supply in people. And I've talked about that in other videos. It's one of the traits, narcissists in their supply. A narcissistic person needs somebody to feed into them. They need somebody to give them gratification and validation. They need people around. They cannot be alone. You'll see this person turn in and out of many relationships because they don't know how to sustain by themselves. They need somebody else to survive, literally. So you'll see that in them. And another part of narcissistic rage is if a narcissist feels like they're about to lose that supply, or that supply is about to go somewhere, or that supply has brought things to their attention that might possibly cause that person to leave out of their life, they'll fly into that rage. They'll fly into that rage. They'll threaten you. Like in a relationship, if you catch a narcissist cheating, for instance, or flirting on social media, watching porn, and you confront them about it, it's a problem for you. You don't like it, and you confront them about it. They'll fly into that rage. They'll try to bully you. They'll bring up. They know that you don't ultimately want to leave the relationship, but you want the situation to stop. So they'll threaten you. Oh, well, I don't have to be here. I can leave. I can go be with such and such. Or I can go do this. Fuck them, okay? And none of the words fuck that and all the shit they talking about, excuse my language, because you don't have to deal with that. At the end of the day, don't let anybody bully you or conform your mind to make you think that what you feel is wrong. If it's a spirit and it's crossing your spirit and it taints your spirit, then you need to speak up on it. It needs to be handled and resolved. Now, a healthy person will sit, understand, they will take that up to their self, and they will make those effective changes if they really love you, will love themselves, and want a healthy relationship. A narcissistic person will make up excuses, lies, and they will bully you through a narcissistic rage to get you to back off the situation and leave it alone. They'll say things like, I don't want to talk about that. Why do we have to talk about this? I don't want to have to deal with that. I have too much on my plate, this, that. And they'll make up many excuses to get you just to leave the situation alone. Well, when in turn, they are very wrong in this situation and they have every right to be held accountable. But again, I will keep saying, narcissistic people with narcissistic traits do not want to be held accountable for any of their actions, whether wrong or right. They just want to go through life treating people the way that they think people should be treated, and thinking that they're kings and queens that sit up on these high thrones and you're supposed to worship them and kiss the ground that they walk on. And this is not it. That ain't it. Everybody deserves the right to be treated fair with equality, to be given pure, genuine love, and not have to sit and worry about whether a person really is there, or whether a person is just there for gain. Um, so when you try to hold a person with narcissistic traits accountable, you will see that anger come out of them because they don't want to have to deal with any situation that's going to reveal them. That's going to reveal the real them. That's going to reveal secrets that they don't want anybody to know. That's going to reveal things, demons that they fight with that they didn't even want you to know about. They'll go into that rage because they don't have any other way to express themselves but anger and rage, because they're so dark and demented on the inside and in the mind and in the spirit that they have no other way to maneuver throughout life, and through situations but with rage and anger. So be careful of this, very careful, because it can be very mind altering if you don't have a strong mind. It can make you question yourself. It can make you question the reality around you. And this is not what you want to do. If you can't get out of the relationship with this person, like maybe you're really drawn to them, maybe you have kids together, maybe it's a financial situation, or maybe you just don't want to get out the relationship. Maybe you really love this person and you want to continue to be with them, and that's fine. And in some cases, some people say they can't understand, but it's understandable. Just make sure that you're holding on to yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, that you know where you stand, you know who God is, you have a strong spiritual connection with God, and that you don't allow anybody to mind manipulate you. As far as it speaks to sexual encounters, make sure you use protection with this person. Make sure that if you're not using protection, you're getting tested every 6 months, and you're protecting yourself. Make sure that you're aware of the surroundings and what could be going on around you, and you're defending yourself and protecting yourself at all times. Make sure that you're keeping the Holy Spirit with you and you're praying for God to cover you in every and each situation, and make sure that you're keeping yourself knowledgeable up on what's going on today in different terms and different traits and personalities that people may have, so you're not being manipulated and you're not being bullied, excuse me, by a narcissist or by any other person. There's psychopaths out here and all kind of different people with different personality traits that manipulate people every day and push people into depressions and make their anxiety flare up in all kind of situations, because we don't know how to hold on to ourselves emotionally. You have to have strength in mind over strength in heart every time. Um, because if you think with heart, you will lose yourself. So you have to be able to be strong in your mind and to be able to know when a person is manipulating you, know when a person is lying to you, know when this person is just trying to counteract a situation because they don't really want to deal with it right now or they don't want to deal with it at all. Know when a person is trying to really get over, I guess it might say. And to just be clear and honest, you'll have more people in life that you can't trust and you'll have people in life that you will be able to trust. And people throw that word trust around like it's Skittles that you just pass out from the corner store. No, trust is um, hard to gain, easy to break, and once it's broken, very hard to get it back. So at the end of the day, no, your trust is not to be given to anybody because most people are not trustworthy. You know, most people will tell you what you want to hear. They might even show you some stuff you want to see just to get that, gain that trust from you. And then behind your back, they doing all kind of stuff that you would not wish upon your worst enemy. That's why it's very important to not put anything past anybody and really to watch and observe somebody and how they are in all situations and how they act and react to certain things before you really get involved with them or say that you're going to give this person you and your trust and your heart and your time, because a lot of people will waste your time out here, just because they know you're a great person. They know who you are. You know you're a giver. They know you're a creator, you're an originator, you're a king, you're a queen, you're a god, you're a goddess, and they will take advantage of that because they see it. So be careful with yourself and how you lend yourself out to people. And a part of yourself is your energy. So be careful what you give your energy to as well. So I just wanted to say that to say that if you're dealing with anybody with narcissistic traits and they fall into that narcissistic rage, sometimes they will get violent. So please be careful. Like I said, keep a common monotone voice, stay calm, don't get upset, don't yell back, don't engage. And if you got to, just walk away and leave them looking stupid. Like, don't engage them, because what they want to do is manipulate your mind into thinking the situation is really your fault, and they'll even tell you, like, you'll call them out. Well, hey, you did this to me, I really didn't appreciate this, it made me feel A, B, and C. They'll tell you, hey, well, you're the reason why I did that. So they could be yelling at you in the midst of a rage because you brought up something to their attention that they did to you that you didn't like. And in the middle of that rage, they'll tell you, well, I'm hollering at you, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's all your fault. That's a narcissist, hands down. A person who can be held accountable, a person who puts their actions off on another person and says, well, I did this because of you, is one, a 2 year old, and three, they're a narcissist. Because the only kind of person who does not hold their self accountable for their own actions is a child and a narcissistic person. So at the end of the day, and a narcissist is like a child. There's somebody who's never grown up mentally and emotionally, basically. If you want to nip it in the bud, a narcissistic person or a person with narcissistic traits is a person who never grew up from a child mentally and emotionally. They still act, think, and depict and run their life as if they're a child because they're still stuck in that mindset because their mama didn't love them enough or their daddy didn't show them enough love and didn't tell them how to love or how to feel emotion. So they're still stuck in that childlike mindset. They think that everything is owed to them. They feel like they're entitled to treat people how they treat people, but you're supposed to give them all the love and everything that they deserve, but they don't have to treat you with that same respect in return. Watch yourself out here around certain people. Guard yourself, guard your heart, guard your assets, because these people is out here. They out here to destroy. They out here to gain, and they out here to profit off whatever you're gonna allow them to get off of you. And don't let them fool you with that. I didn't ask you for none of this shit, or the other things that they may say, because whether they ask you or not, a narcissistic person knows an empathetic person. They know when they can gain without asking. They know it's just because you are the person you are and you have the heart that you have that you'll give to them anyway because of the spirit that you have, and they will attack that. So be careful with what you give. Don't give all of yourself. If anything, give 10% of yourself into a situation where you feel a person may have narcissistic traits. Don't ever give all of yourself. Stay guarded. Keep that guard up. Be careful of letting that person consume too much or so much of you. I wouldn't say keep a wall up towards everybody, but there are certain red flags that you'll see in a person that will allow you to know, okay, hey, I need to put a blocker here. I need to be guarded because this person is not trustable. I can't trust this person. I might not ever be able to. So let me just keep a guard up. So when certain things won't affect me in the way that they used to. One thing with a narcissistic person, they're always going to cheat. They're always going to be talking to other people. They're always going to be watching porn. They have porn addictions, sex addictions. They're always going to be doing something behind your back. They use Google Incognito. They hide apps behind other apps. They have multiple phones you don't know about. Like, they'll do anything to get whatever they feel like they need to get in their mind out of the situation. And for a person who's not knowledgeable on these current things, it will really mess with your head. It will really affect you. But if you strengthen yourself in God, you strengthen yourself in the Holy Spirit, and you strengthen yourself in knowledge, then I promise you, you will be okay. You'll be able to maneuver through the situation and or if leave the situation clear cut without any problems or ramifications or feeling any kind of, oh, well, maybe I should have tried to work it out or stay longer. You'll be able to just cut the ties and move on, because you'll know that that person doesn't have your best interests at heart because they don't have their best interests at heart. One thing about a narcissistic person, they can't love you because they don't love themselves. Just top, just that's just the top thing. They can't love you because they don't love themselves. They don't know how to love. No one showed them, right? No one showed them love, so they don't know how to love themselves, so they can't love other people, not genuinely. They will tell you that they love you. They'll do little things that display love, but it's never truly genuine. Never. And it's never to be confused either with genuine love, because once you confuse it with the genuine love, it's when you'll confuse reality with what is really going on in your life. That's when you'll take on their actions as your actions and you'll blame yourself for the things that they're doing. Everybody that's human, man, woman, and adult, even children on this earth, is responsible for their own actions and very aware of their own actions because we were given mind, body, and spirit by God, the creator of the universe. So we are all aware of each and everything that we do and or say that affects ourselves and other people. So never allow a person to make you feel like they didn't know, they weren't aware, because they did. They just did not give a damn about how it would make you feel. They only cared about how they felt. So they're going to do it anyway. And so when you can hold on to that, then you'll be able to hold on to yourself better. And what other people do won't affect you as much because you'll know that that person is sick and that person just needs help that you can't give them. Lastly, to close this video out, you can't love a narcissist into changing. It ain't gonna work. They're not gonna change. The only way a narcissist person will change is through clear and concise divine intervention through the Most High. That's the only way they'll ever change. If it ain't God, you're not gonna change them. They're gonna be the way they are, and God could come into their life. These people can face death, and they still will find a way to display evilness. They still will find a way to hurt other people. They still will find a way to manipulate people because it's just in them. So that's why we have to stay prayed up as the people. We have to pray for people like this. Don't slander them. I'm not getting on here talking about this to slander. I'm getting on here to educate the masses, the people like me who are empathetic, who get taken advantage of and possibly run into people with these traits that try to take advantage of people like me. This is not to slander anybody because I'm prayerful. I believe in praying demons up out of people. So we got to pray for these kind of people. We have to pray that God come shed a light up on us all, that he'll remove all demonic thoughts and spirits out of people, out of everybody underneath the sound of his voice. And that's what we have to do and come together as the people to make this demon that floods over the earth that's taking over our people flee, because it has no place here. But until those people start to pray for themselves and realize that there is a demon that lives within them that's taking over their mind and how they maneuver and act towards other people, then there's no help for them. All you can do for them is pray. That's all you can do is pray. So again, to recap, narcissistic rages, you'll see this when you try to hold them accountable. You'll see this when you try to leave the relationship or leave the situation. You'll also see a narcissistic rage when you confront them about different things that they don't want to talk about, which is holding them accountable. It's like the same thing. So you'll see this. When you see the narcissistic rage, crying, yelling, screaming, cursing, whatever, being a bully, trying to be overbearing over you, trying to create confrontation because they know you don't like confrontation, trying to intimidate you. That's what a narcissistic rage is, intimidate you so you'll bow down from the situation and just conform to what they want. Stay calm, don't engage, walk away. Keep your thought and your spirit strong. Whatever brought you to that conversation, hold on to it. It didn't come to you for no reason. Don't ever allow them to manipulate you to make you think that you're the cause of their actions or anything you did is forcing them to be a certain kind of way. Again, we all were given mind, body, and spirit from the Most High. We all are very aware of our actions, ourselves, and what we're doing. A person who's not aware of their actions and themselves and what they're doing is a child and has a childlike mindset. So always hold on to that. Always hold on to yourself. Always stay prayed up. Always stay prayerful. Always stay educated. Until next time in our next video, remember I love you guys. Subscribe to my channel. Tell a friend to subscribe to my channel. Check me out on Instagram at Sade Speaks _ or you can look me up on Facebook at Sade No Weapon Shall Prosper Holden. My email is sgholden89@gmail.com. All of this will be in the description below. Subscribe to my channel. Lastly, remember I love you guys. Stay in peace. Stay in prayer. I say.